Hello Twin Lakes Academy Wildcats, it's Miss Tron. Today we're going to be using some various shapes and lines to learn how to make a castle drawing. This is a very basic castle. This one is a little bit more elaborate, has more brickwork, but your castle might not be like mine. Your castle might be more vertical in appearance. Maybe yours is going to be a tall castle. Yours might have some different details, but we're going to talk about that in just a minute. So what I want you to do right now is to get a piece of paper and a pencil. That'll be thing one. Now, what you can do today is you can make your castle horizontally oriented or vertically oriented, depending on which way you put your paper. Remember, vertical is up and down, and horizontal is side to side. First thing I'm going to do down here at the bottom is I am going to add a ground line, just so I have my castle sitting on some grass or on some land. So that's thing one. Thing two that I'm going to do is I am going to draw some rectangles. I'm actually going to do just two simple rectangles. I'm going to do one for the main body of my castle, and then for a little tower at the top. But you can see how you can use a series of rectangles. Now, you can either follow along with me, or you could, if you feel very confident in your drawing, you could put your rectangles in your own formation if you already have an idea of how you want your castle to appear. The castle that I'm working on is going to be very symmetrical. That means, as probably you remember from past years, if you draw a line down the center, both sides are the same. But these castles are asymmetrical, and they're kind of interesting. So you just want to decide what you're going to do. So if you're following along with me, I've got my ground line down here at the bottom. And the next thing I'm going to do is right in the center, I'm going to do a horizontal, or a rectangle going up like that. So just a rectangle. And then I'm going to do another rectangle on top of that. Okay, that's my very basic beginning. I could even add another rectangle on top of that if I want a very high part of my tower. And actually, maybe I will do that on this one just to make it look a little more interesting. I guess I'll add another tall rectangle. Actually, that might end up becoming a tower. I'm not sure. So that's the first thing, is just kind of get your basic rectangles in shape drawn down. Now, if I am going a little too fast, you could always just pause and turn the video back on, and I can explain the rest of it. Okay, so I've got my towers. Now, I want to describe to you how we do a line that can show the top of a tower wall. So right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show it a little bit larger. The way you're going to do the top of the tower, if you choose to, you do not have to, is it's kind of this kind of a line. And maybe I'll draw it really large so you can see. You start with a vertical, then you make a horizontal, and then you do a vertical down, horizontal across. So the whole concept with this is it's kind of like we're drawing rectangles or squares next to each other, except the bottom is empty and we're connecting the rectangles in the square with a line across. So once again, it's a horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical. So it's and I'm always making my lines go in the same direction. So just kind of trying to make it go across like this. So this is just an example. You don't want to try it out on a piece of paper or something. see if you can do it. But I'm just kind of trying to keep it kind of consistent. So one of my options on my castle is to do that on the top of some of my shapes if I want to. If you don't want to, that's fine too. But right now what I'm going to do right here, and by the way, when we're drawing, we need to draw light till we get it right. But right now, I'm just going to start to draw my line over. And I'm just going to do that all the way across, trying to kind of keep it the same shape if I can. Now, if this is too difficult for you, you do not have to do it. It's just a little detail to give your castle a little bit more pizzazz, a little bit more visual interest. So I'm just going to kind of bring that all the way across. And if it's not perfect, it's okay. It does not matter. So this is a way to add kind of that castle-y look to your rectangles. So we can start to make them into a building. Okay, so actually I'm going to scoot this one over to make it a little bit more even. Just a little bit more even. And even mine are not perfect, that's okay. See, it just goes to show you. Now what I'm going to do here at that little bottom area, I'm just going to erase that little spot so it looks like my rectangles, or that line is actually attached to the body of my castle. Now, you know, I could go ahead and I could add those onto these other pieces too. In fact, I think I will. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to do that same line again, going across this one. If you can. If you can't, don't worry about it. By the way, if I'm going a little too fast, just pause the video. I'm going to go back in and erase that. And then, what am I going to do with this one? I think I'm going to not do anything with that one yet. Okay? In fact, I don't know, I might not even use it. Or I might come back. Actually, I think I want it to be a little bit more symmetrical, so I'm going to try to get it a little bit more in the center. Now, you don't have to have yours at all like mine. That's okay. So I've got my kind of my castle design going on here. Now, want to talk a little bit about towers. There's a bunch of different towers that you can add onto your castle. I'm going to show you some very easy ones, and I'm going to show you some harder ones. So for right now, I'm going to put this to the side, and we're going to start talking about towers, okay? So one kind of tower you could do would be a long, tall rectangle with a little triangle attached to it. Okay, so that's one way to make a tower. Very easy way, okay? So it'd be a long rectangle with a triangle attached. The next way is slightly more difficult. I am going to do my two sides of my tower down, but at the bottom, I'm going to curve a little line down so it looks a little bit more like a cylinder, okay? And what I'm going to do at the top of this one is I am going to make a cone shape. So with this cone shape, it's like an upside down V. I'm going here like this. By the way, put down your pencil and just watch this stuff to figure out what you're going to do. You don't have to be drawing along with me. I'm just showing examples right now. So that's a cone. It's just two. It's like an upside down V with a slight curve like that. So that's another kind of tower you can draw. Another kind of tower you can draw, and I could do this on a rectangle or a cylinder, is something a little bit more Russian inspired. It could be a little bit of a curved tower like this. So with one curved line going like this and one curved line going like that, that could be more of a Russian style of a tower for your castle. And what was the other one I was going to do? Oh yeah, here's another one that's a little slightly different. You draw a very tall trapezoid, okay? So it's a horizontal line at the bottom and two lines that are slightly tapering together. Then you draw a horizontal line at the top, and then what I'm going to do on the other side is I'm just going to make a slight, two little diagonals like this, a horizontal, and then with this I could maybe do another set of those little pieces on it. So this is a different kind of tower. It actually kind of looks like a rook in chess. And I could even do that over here. I could even at the bottom, I could slightly curve out the bottom. Okay? So there's like so many different ways you can make your towers for your castle. Okay? So I'm going to do mine, and I can just kind of put these to the side so you can see them one more time. I'm going to go in and draw two towers on either side. I'm going to do mine a little bit like that, but you could always do yours a little simpler or a little harder. You don't have to have the same position with your towers either. They might look a little bit more like this. Yours might be more asymmetrical. That is fine. Okay? So, here I go. On this side, I'm going to make a tower that's a little bit taller than my castle. Actually, I don't think I'm going to do cylindrical here at the bottom, but you can if you want to. So I'm going to do my rectangle, and then at the top, upside down V, and I'm curving down a line. Same thing on the other side. I'm going to do my rectangle, or my two lines down. I'm trying to keep these the same height, but you know, the great thing about castles is castles are not perfect. In fact, a lot of castles are crumbling and in ruins just because they're so old. So yours doesn't have to be perfect. With this little rectangle I had here, I think I'm also going to turn that into a little tower. Start using your imagination as you're drawing. Maybe there's somebody imprisoned in the tower. I mean, this could have been from a long time ago. And then over here, I'm going to do another one. And you know, you could keep it, like we said, very asymmetrical. Maybe it's not exactly the same on each side. Maybe on this castle, I'm just going to have 4 towers, 3 on this side and 1 on that side. That's fine. But you can do it however you choose. So now I'm adding my towers. Okay, so got my towers done. Want to talk a little bit about different kind of windows you can put in your castle. So here are my towers, but now I want to talk about different kinds of windows. You could do rectangle windows. That could be pretty easy to do. You could do a kind of window that starts with a upside down V at the top, goes down to 2 horizontal lines, and then is a horizontal line at the bottom. You could do one that's a long, tall curve, U-shape, upside down U with a horizontal line at the bottom. You could do a really skinny window. You could do a window that is inset a little bit. How would I do that? Well, if I do a diagonal line off of each corner and then I connect them together, it looks like the window is going in a little bit. It also kind of looks like a gem a bit, but that you could do as well. let's see. So there's lots of different things you could do. If there's a prisoner in your windows, you could do some horizontal and vertical lines. Oh, maybe Rapunzel is here with her hair hanging down the tower, you know? You could do something like that. Maybe if you've ever been to Fort Clinch or to any other forts or castles around here, maybe it's a very narrow opening because somebody is behind that window defending the castle. So now go ahead and use any of those window ideas all over your castle. But save a little room at the bottom because we're going to put some sort of a door here. So these don't have to be exactly the same. You could use a whole bunch of different kinds of windows on your castle. Maybe there's even like a part of the roof that has a little window in it. I don't know. So you can have a lot of fun with that. Oh, there's one other cool thing I could show you to make your castle window look a little three-dimensional. If you want, and I'm just going to draw an oversized window so you can understand. If you have a very big castle, or I'm sorry, for any window you have, if you want to go inside on the inside edge and go like this, it can look like the window is three-dimensional, like it's going inside the castle. That's an option you could choose if you want to. So go ahead and make all sorts of windows and doors all over your castle. To be honest with you, sometimes doing because you have to be very, well, you don't really have to be super exact with the symmetrical castle. You can, remember we said that it could be in ruins, it could be falling apart a little bit, but sometimes I find with the asymmetrical castles you have a little bit more freedom because not everything has to be exactly the same each time. But anyways, so now I'm going to add some different kind of windows here. So there's a lot of people that can look out of the castle. Alright, I should probably add some more over here too. Maybe I'll do some really thin windows. And I'm not going to have this be 100% symmetrical. Okay, so I've got my windows all over my castle. Moving on to a door. Or, you know, this could even be a drawbridge or something if you want it to be a drawbridge. So please use your imagination if you can think of some imaginative ideas. So let's talk about some different kinds of doors you could do. If this is the bottom of the castle, you could do a door that's just a large U like this. That's one way to do it. Sometimes those old castles have doors that are very heavily fortified to keep people from entering, that might even have some metal work on it to keep it shut. You could do maybe a bit of a rectangle shape for your castle door. There's a lot of different ways to do it. I think on my castle what I'm going to do is I'm going to do more of a large curved U like this. And then I'm going to add some metal strips going this way and that are very heavily fortified so people cannot get into the castle, so intruders cannot get in. But like I said, you don't have to do yours like that. You could just keep it real simple and just have a U shape there for your castle door. And I'm going to add some little kind of like forged little rivets, I guess, on the castle door. That's something I want to do. Just make it look a little bit stronger. Or you could have your door open. Maybe it's very pleasant and friendly in the land where your castle is. Okay, so you could just keep it like that, but if you want to do two little diagonals to the side, it could look like a road leading up to your castle. Okay, or it could be a drawbridge. In fact, you don't have to do this, but if you want to, you could draw a moat around your castle. You know, a moat is where the water is, so people can't, or animals can't get inside. So if I was going to do a moat after I draw that, I would do two lines like this, and then I would do a diagonal line back on either side, and another line looking like it's going behind the castle. So that could be the moat going around. And if that's the story, this wouldn't really be your ground line. Your ground line could be over here in the background. So that's kind of, might be a little complicated, but if you want to do the moat, after you do your diagonal lines, do two horizontals going out beyond the side of the castle, diagonal back, horizontal, horizontal, so it looks like the water is, and you could even add some little waves to your water if you wanted to, so the water is going behind the castle. Okay, but mine's just a plain castle. I guess this is maybe in a place where they don't have a lot of water. Okay, so moving on, I'm going to talk about making some bricks. In fact, let me go back to these drawings and talk about different kind of bricks you could do. And you don't have to. Maybe your castle has a very smooth texture. But one way to make bricks is to, a very simple way to make bricks is to do some vertical lines and horizontal lines all over your towers. So that can look like bricks. You could also choose not to do bricks. One thing that can be kind of interesting is to do the impression of bricks. So maybe I won't do tons of bricks, but I'll just do a few here and there to give the impression of like a fortified wall of the castle. Okay? So that's one way you can do it. Another way you could do it, this might be very time consuming, but if you just draw little squares next to each other all the way up the castle, you can. Or you don't have to. It's really up to you. I think I might try to do a few little bricks here and there on my castle. Maybe just a few little bricks going up just to give the impression of bricks. I mean, you don't have to do that either. If you start doing it and you're like, it's not really working for me, you can stop. You don't have to do this. This is just an option. I think on my castle, I am going to actually color in my windows to make them a little bit darker than everything. So I'm just going to color them in with my pencil, but you don't have to do that. You could do it your way. But I'm also now realizing, since I'm making those bricks, this is a good way to differentiate the windows from the bricks. So if the windows are darkened in, now you don't have to do that. Remember, you might have a person coming out of the window, or maybe there might be, maybe there's a rope ladder hanging down from one of the windows, and maybe like someone is escaping the castle or getting into the castle. I kind of have an idea. It would be kind of fun here. For some reason, I want to have a little ladder going up to the castle window. I don't know why. I think that's kind of a fun idea, but you don't have to do that. Looks like somebody might be trying to escape in the middle of the night. So I'm going to go through and add a few more little bricks here and there. So I want to talk about some details you can put on the roof. There's a few ways you can do it. One thing you can do is, if you want to make it look like a shingled tower, you could do a series of U's on the tops of your towers, on those like little triangle or cone areas. So you could do that. That's one way to do it. You could do lines coming down like this. You could do lines going up the castle. So you can do a little detail on top of your roofs if you choose to. I think I'm going to do that on mine. I'm just going to go through and make some bricks by doing kind of like this repeated U shape all over. But like I said, you don't have to do that. This might take a little bit of time to do this if you're choosing to. I hope your castle drawing is turning out cool. You could add a dragon into your castle if you want to, or you could add people. Maybe your castle isn't in a land at all. Maybe it's undersea. Maybe your castle has some undersea elements, or maybe it's a long forgotten place up in the mountains that people haven't gone to in hundreds of years. It's really up to whatever you want to do with it. You can also color it in. If you don't want your castle to be gray, you could have a colorful castle. Your castle could be on an island. Your castle could be in the mountains. Okay, so one thing I'm going to do with my castle now that I want to do with it is, we've been talking a lot about value, and you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but since my towers are cylindrical, I'm going to go in on one side and just add a little shadow on each side of the towers. Like I said, you don't have to do that if you want to, but I'm trying to give it more of a three-dimensional feel, so I'm going to go in there like this, and then I think what I'm going to do is I could just smudge it with my finger a little bit. That's one way you can, you know, make it look more three-dimensional. It's up to you, and of course I could also add that value to the sides of the roof. So this is just something extra you can do if you want to, but you don't have to. You could just color it all in gray maybe, or something else. I'm starting to like this. I think my castle might be near the mountains, so I think I want it in the background. I think I'm going to add a zigzag line for a bit of a mountain chain, maybe. I don't know. Okay, so I also decided I want it to look like there's lines coming. Like this is a long walkway with some vertical lines. Oh, I forgot one of the funnest things of all. Let's add some banners. So there's a bunch of ways to add banners. Let me show you a few different kinds of banners you can have off the top of your castle. You could do a vertical line and simply do a little triangle attached to that. So that's one way to make a flag. I think I might have made that in one of my examples. You could also do one that has a slightly curved flag. Well, let's go back and show this. So you could do, just like we said, straight line and triangle to the side. That's one kind of flag. Another kind of flag could be straight line, slight curve to the flag. Another flag you could do could be just a straight line and just a rectangle to the side. You could do a flag, and you could do a super fancy flag that has 2 points on it going back to the side. You could also hang a banner in front of your castle. For instance, if this is my castle, I could do a banner. Maybe the banner says something. Maybe it's pointed at the bottom. Maybe a new prince or princess has just been crowned king or queen, and this is how they're going to announce it at the castle. So you could have a banner hanging in front. I'm just going to have some flags at the top of my castle because I think it looks kind of nice. So I'm going to go through and I am going to do, remember you can just keep it really simple with just the point to the side, but I'm going to curve mine a bit. But you don't have to. The regular triangle ones look perfectly fine. Okay, so now I could just keep my land like this, or maybe what I want to do is add a curving hill in the background. Maybe this is the land that's in the background. Maybe it goes, and there's kind of like these rolling hills in the background, like this. So kind of just like, if you can imagine some lines coming down behind, but then maybe what happens is after those rolling hills, you could do some pointed peaks in the background for mountains. Just make sure whenever you get to the castle itself, you don't draw on it, but maybe these are just like some mountains in the background. But like I said, you don't have to have that in your drawing. You don't have to have mountains in the background. You could have something else. But in mine, I'm going to have these snow-capped peaks. So you don't have to do this. This is just an extra. I'm going to go through and add like this little zigzag at the top of each of my peaks, but like we said, you don't have to do that. It's up to you. But anyways, there is my castle drawing. I hope yours turned out good. And remember, it didn't have to be exactly like mine. You don't have to add a background if you want to, but I hope your castle drawing turned out great. So just take a photo of it and email it to me, please. Thank you.